Hello Internet, 51 Nappa here, and I'm going to be trying something different for once. I'm going to be doing a toy review kind of thing. And it is going to be focusing on these guys here, and sorry for a little bit of background noise, and these two over here, but I'm going to start with numerical order. I have different styles of cars, so let's get to it. Okay, first up is this one here. This is Kevin Harvick's number 2 car. AC Delco was his sponsor. You can see right here, and if it zooms in, autofocuses. Sylvania was his other, and then you got all these other little things here. I've got it in my hand, so it's a nice feel. The tires here are made out of a nice robust plastic. It's a die-cast metal, and the only thing that I have to say about these kinds of cars is the window netting is gray when it should be black. But on the older cars, you also have this little part here that kind of sticks out from the car itself. So that's the then car. I'll come in and do another one of Brian Scott's car. This is for today's now NASCAR Xfinity series. You can see I sharpied the window netting to be black. I also added these black stripes running down the car. And I kind of like this car. It kind of harkens a little bit back to Dale Earnhardt's old number 2 car with this blue and yellow kind of paint scheme. You can see here Rain-X, Auto Parts, Shore Lodge, Charter. This is an RCR car, by the way. The 2 car in the Busch series whenever was a Chevy, whereas in Sprint Cup it's a Ford. It's a Camaro now, and I think this is a really nice looking car. It's kind of one of the, it's a little bit heavier than the other number 2 car, which is right there. So those two are Kevin Harvick and Brian Scott. Moving on to the 3 car. The wheels on this one are a little bit loose, but it's still holding together overall. You can see a Junior signature there, so that is Dale Jr.'s car. I call this the sweet car because you have different foods on here. Mainly it's Oreo, and you can see the milk splash all over the car. Got Ritz. And right here I like this. The cookie basically is disguising the fuel intake. Got Nilla, Nutter Butter. That's what is on top. You got Fig Newtons. You got Ritz. This is the food car. I call it the sweet car. Next up is Austin Dillon's Nationwide number 3. It's got a patriotic paint scheme, like the number 2 had here. There's the stars and stripes here, but it harkens back to Dale Earnhardt's car. That is all black. It's a little heavier. It's an Impala. Sorry if my hands are shaky. But the first ones were Monte Carlos, the older ones. This is a Impala, and I like what this says right here. This was back in 2012. He was a rookie. Yeah, sorry if my hand shakes. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, I like this car, and the thing that's a little odd about it is the way that it slopes up a little bit like that. Kind of makes it look a little blocky, but other than that, it's okay. Moving on to this one. This is the new series that came out recently in stores like Walmart and Target. This is Austin Dillon's Sprint Cup car, bringing back the 3. He's got a couple different schemes, but this is one of them. Dow Chemicals, the other is Cheerios. In Generation 6 cars, they have the name right there in Sprint Cup on the windshield. The only thing I kind of don't like about these ones, I mean, I just saw the cars there. If you look here, it's pretty packed. It's kind of compacted a little bit compared to, say, this one. It seems right here it's a little more extended out, whereas this one it's a little bit pushed in. But overall, these new cars are okay. But there's one that I have that I actually regret buying, and I'll get to that in a minute. But those are the 3 cars. Moving on to the 20. This was Tony Stewart. I'm guessing this is a special paint scheme. It's kind of got a ice kind of thing to it. Toys for Tots. It's a Pontiac Grand Prix. So you got Home Depot. Got the Coca-Cola Bear. It's a limited edition, I think. And there's the original driver, Tony Stewart, introduced to driver Joe Gibbs. Husky was one of his things. Home Depot was another one of his cars. Again, the window netting. All the window nettings usually are a gray color, and again, I've all these cars in my hands, and I can say that they are pretty good feeling cars or toys. I'll get to doing rip-off cars and other toys later on my channel, but here is Joey Logano's. I had this one when I was younger. You could tell I got a little creative with blue and black Sharpies, but I like the paint, how the white paint kind of goes like this, like a swooping motion. This is a car of tomorrow, the first car of tomorrow that I had. I actually gave it silver wheels. It's a Toyota now. You can see there's a splitter running right that way. But yeah, this one I messed up a little bit with the Sharpie, but I tried to make it look a little more creative with these black stripes running across. Home Depot all over the place. It's a pretty good toy. On to this one. This is another Gen 6 that I have, and this one I don't like for a couple of reasons. If I look at the wheels, they seem to pooch out, and there's this little piece right there next to the wheel. I don't like that. And with the other cars, I don't see that Toyota. There's a Toyota thing here. I don't see that on the others. You have Dollar General plastered all over the place. This is Matt Kenseth's car now, so it's changed hands a few times. This orange part here, you can see a little bit of paint fell off, but overall it's nice looking. But honestly, it doesn't feel right when it sits. Honestly, it just doesn't look right when it sits down. But I oiled the wheels up a little bit, and it runs pretty well. It's just the overall appearance I don't like. This one is Jeff Gordon. And he's retiring after the season, which is sad. This is his old Flames paint scheme. I painted the wheels black with Sharpie again. I actually Sharpied a little bit of the DuPont here, make it red. Number 24, I added those little black lines, and there's the spoiler. DuPont. That's the splitter. The car has an overall really good kind of appearance. Nicorette, he had a green and yellow car that had the same kind of paint design, but and Pepsi. But he has a different car now. But that's back from like 2007, 2008. Sorry if I keep showing those cars. It's just I'm really excited about this first video. Here is Gordon's new car. So this is a really nice looking car. It's black, and you can see the blue flame, which I think is really cool. He does the AARP Drive to End Hunger as one of his sponsors. I believe that right there, Ax Alta, is a new name for DuPont. But he's got a lot of Pepsi Max on this car, and I like it. It kind of reminds me of Dale Earnhardt's car back in the day. But that's Jeff Gordon. Moving on, this was Johnny Benson's car from, I think, back in the 80s. Can't remember where I got this from. I actually don't like the paint scheme because of this part here, this blue part. Just doesn't ring right, but he's got another food car. He had Cheerios, which is now Austin Dillon. This is a Roush car. Yep, there it is, Johnny Benson. It's one of the smaller cars, and it's kind of got a boxy feel to it. Also, the wheels are a little too big for its size. It's a Winston Cup car. Pop Secret, Popcorn, Hamburger Helper, there's Cheerios. And if you look, if I push the wheels, they're too big. Look at how fat those tires are. Say to this one. The wheels are small on this one. I mean, they're pretty big on this. But I have to say, this one has the largest wheels by far. And to me, this one feels a little cheap and nasty, so this could be somewhere in between a knockoff kind of car in regards to how it's made. I mean, it's good paint work and everything, but just oh, I didn't see Betty Crocker there. I like that, but it just doesn't feel right. It's probably old. You can see it's basic on the bottom. The other ones are more detailed on the belly here or whatever. And then moving on, this is Jamie McMurray. Now he drives the one, but this was his car back in 2007. This also, his car also had Crown Royal, but because of, I did use a little black Sharpie again, but because for some reason the toy makers don't want to sponsor alcohol with young people. Well, look at that, that sticker there. It's actually a little off from the grill here, so that's a little bit of messed up sticker. And also this wheel here, this particular wheel doesn't really move that well, whereas the others, they do. But this is Jamie McMurray's old car, and if I move it, you can hear that wheel dragging a little bit. On to the 29 car. This is Kevin Harvick. This was his car when he first got started. Of course, I had the black Sharpie. Makes it actually look a little bit better. The wheels here, they're loosely put in, which means I could bend it to where it looks like that. You can see the wheels. It actually looks a little bit different. It's a lot of Goodwrench stuff on this car. This was Monte Carlo. Moving on, this is one car. The one thing about these particular cars, the one I'm holding the car tomorrow, the paint came off too quickly on the front of this car, and now it's a shell. But the thing that I hated is this wheel right here. The car tomorrow, the toys, they would do that. The wheels would start falling apart, and it made for somewhat of a bad toy. It's the only thing I didn't like. And it happened to be in the back wheel. I didn't have much problem with the front, but the back wheels kept falling apart on me. I mean, it still moves, but it doesn't have that same kind of feel. I can move it. It'll still go, but not as distant as the others. Now this one, it's on a stand, and it's probably one of the best looking Gen 6 cars out there. And this one actually has Budweiser. I like that. It's on the back. It's right there. This was Kevin Harvick's car before he went to Stewart-Haas Racing. And I really like this one. And I'm going to show you something with this car in a second, compared to a couple of others. Here is Kevin Harvick's new car. Number 4, Jimmy John's. Notice Budweiser's nowhere to be seen. It's all Jimmy John's. I think the Budweiser would be right there, but of course, no beer for you. And this is a little bit of detailed work. There's his name. That's about it with that one, but let me show you something. Bring in this one and this one. You notice anything? These cars each have similar paint schemes. So if this car, and this car were to say be drafting, aside from the numbers, you'd have a hard time telling who's who. You know? It'd be kind of crazy. Because this car is actually that car, but after this car went away, that was the new one, then this came back. So that one's new, this one's retired, so to say. But moving on. This 43 here is a Lionel car. Much like that, an Austin Dillon number 3 Busch car. It's in petty blue. This one is actually a nice, even though the wheels are a little bit wonky. Like you can see the wheels kind of moving, like the back wheels are trying to steer when it should be the front. There's a little bit of paint, work that's gone a little awry in the back. It was supposed to be, I think, Air Force or STP there, but the paint fell out to reveal more petty blue, and I like that. There's Farmland, so this thing is fueled by bacon, and now it's a new driver, Eric Almirola. Ford Fusion, I'm proud to have this one. I did a little bit of Sharpie on the bottom. There's the underneath. But the wheels, the only little thing with this that I kind of had a little beef against, but this car is actually pretty good. I like it. I like that red stripe that goes along. This is supposed to be like a retro paint scheme for Richard Petty Motorsports. This one, though, I don't like at all, and I regret buying it. This one, I think, has a cheap, nasty feel. Even though it's a licensed product, it just doesn't ring right. I mean, the paint works okay, but look at that. Like, if I level the camera, that's what I don't like right here. The other Gen 6 cars that are in this pile all seem to look like a car. This one looks like someone stepped on it. Windshield's too wide, and look at that. That 43 should be a little more centered because there's this blank spot right here. You feel by bacon, and then this sticker here is put on wonky, or it's just been put on crooked, I should say. I'm not in Australia. Sorry, Leo Kim Video. I got inspired by you to do this. But yeah, this one, it just doesn't feel right, and also it leans kind of like this. It just doesn't feel right in my hands. It doesn't have a good look to it with those crooked stickers. These were about $5 a piece. But I've been a NASCAR fan since I was a kid, and the way it just slopes down into the spoiler here, it just doesn't look right. This is my least favorite car. So, moving on to my favorite car drivers is Jimmy Johnson first. I had this growing up. I did a little bit. I actually got paint thinner and got rid of the Lowe's logo, so I wrote that. After I saw Spy vs. Spy, I gold painted it. I gave him gold and silver wheels, but this is like the old NASCAR car that I had. I did gold stripes. I tried to make it look neat and cool and stuff. But this one has really, I haven't oiled it, so it makes squeaky noises when I move it. This one, on the other hand, is the smallest out of the ones I have. It's very well painted. I gave it silver wheels, but I like that little red thing, and it's very, very small. That's how small it is compared to, say, if I put it next to this, you can see it's a little smaller. If I put it next to this, you can see how small that thing is. But I like the paintwork on this. It's very nice. It's really, this one's really well made. Of course, I did a little bit of silver Sharpie on these, some of these anyway. The wheels are a little wobbly, so it doesn't really make for a smooth ride until it puts some oil on it, but I'm not going to do that in front of the camera, just showing you the stuff I have. Up next is the other car tomorrow. I painted it black, and I gave it the red. Again, there's that wheel problem, and actually the way that the Goodyear and Eagle has rubbed off and the way that it bends reminds me a little bit of what happens if a car like loses it and hits another car, because that usually happens. There's scuff marks and stuff. See a little bit of what I did. I tried to at least have the main sponsor, Lowe's. But that's the main problem with the Car Tomorrow toys when they came out, is this wheel or that wheel would bend in and it would be basically useless. Next up is another Lionel car. This is the Chevy Impala. This is Generation 5. I felt that these cars ran like toboggan sleds. They didn't really get a lot done. It was just like conveyor belts of race cars. But this is a really nice thing. The only thing I had to do was one of these rear wheels actually had a little bit of fleshing on it, so it was a little bit sharp and pointy. So I took a knife, and I could still feel a little sharp edge on this particular wheel. This was the wheel. But it just had a little bit of sharp edge, and it wouldn't let this wheel turn freely, so I got a little putty knife or something and cut off all that excess plastic. And this is really, Lionel makes some pretty good toys, along with model trains they do. I like this particular paint scheme. It looks really nice. There's the underside, and Lionel is on this little part here. I think that's the fuel cell. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is an overall pretty good toy, and I like the front, and it looks like an actual race car. Moving on to this one is his new car. It's black and white, not red all over. They keep the same sponsors mainly, but this right here, the Valvoline, it used to be Quaker State, but I can't remember when they got rid of it. Now they use Valvoline. Hendrick Motorsports does. There's a Valvoline, and I think right here, it's a little hard to see, but there is a Hendrick Motorsports, I think, right on underneath this headlight. It says Hendrick Motorsports, and it would say the same on the 5, the 2088. I'm trying to find the 5 car that's like this, but I haven't been successful yet. Moving on to one of my personal favorite drivers, the 88 Dale Jr. Used to be Ricky Rudd, now it's Dale Jr. This was his Car of Tomorrow, and the paint on this one has fallen apart, unfortunately, right here where all the little sponsors are, but I did my best to blue Sharpie it to kind of make it look a little bit nicer. I black Sharpied the front because, honestly, it's rough. I've made it hit a few walls, so that happened to that. Yeah, I did a lot of blue Sharpie in this, and the thing with his Car Tomorrow car, oh yeah, it's a little hard to see, there it is. The front wheel is blue, the back wheel is silver. He sponsored Amp Energy back in the day. But I like this, even though the paint is falling apart a little bit on those little sponsors, this is one of my favorite cars from back then. Here is his Amp Energy car. I honestly didn't really care for the green. The green was a little meh. Funny thing is I painted the wheels, back wheel silver again. I gave it a black outline. There's National Guard. So when he had this card, National Guard became secondary. When he had this one, Amp Energy became secondary. And I'll put them side by side. You can see the differences. I'm glad to have both of those. Here is his Generation 5 car, not by Lionel, but actually this front wheel, one of the front wheels on this car is broken, so it spins kind of crooked. It's a lot bigger than, it's a little bigger than some of the other cars. I do like this shade of green and the way it runs along the sides here. It makes it look really nice. My only complaint is the front just looks a little weird. He sponsors Diet Mountain Dew on this one. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a flag of Mexico in an abstract way. Also, the back end's a little too big, I think. But other than that, it's a pretty nice looking car. So there's that. And then here is his Gen 6 car. And I like this one out of all of them. I mean, this is my second favorite. The first are the Car Tomorrows. But I like the gold number 88 more. It's not too cluttered with a bunch of stuff. And I like how the blue, red, and white kind of run backwards off the car. Also, the way it looks like he's running head-on into the wind in this car. And I don't see Mountain Dew. I mean, there should be something right here on this Corvette. That's my only little critique on this car. There should be something right here. Really, there should be. But let me just see. So this is 88, and you can tell it runs head-on into the wind, along with this one, the 3 and the 88. Both their numbers run head-on into the wind, whereas say some of these other cars, like the Richard Childress cars, they have the number of going into the wind. This one is being blown backwards a little bit by the wind, and I think they've been doing that on purpose. Make it look like the wind is affecting even the numbers, so to say. Some of them are stationary. Now let's look at a couple others. This is Danica Patrick's Gen 5 car, I believe, or Gen 6, can't remember. I think she came in when Generation 5 was around. Number 10, she's with Stuart Haas. And it's a little lighter shade of green than the Dale Jr. car here. But this one I think has a better look than the 88. The wheels are good, and it's a little hard to see, but those are rookie stripes right there. The rookie stripes are these 2 yellow stripes on the back of the car. So this was your rookie season car. Aside from the black Sharpie, I did. I always did black Sharpie to make things look a little nicer. This one's really an awkward looking car. It's the 22. It's a Nationwide or Xfinity car of Joey Logano. Discount tire. I don't like the front. It's too wide. I know they're trying to make it a Mustang, but it just looks like a trapezoid gone wrong. The outer, this part right here sticks out a little bit. You can tell if I look at it that way. This just doesn't look right in the back. I can't really see the taillights on camera. And that little square there that seems to just stick out like a sore thumb, that's supposed to be like where the camera would go. You have these dog ears that they're called in NASCAR. You can have 1 dog ear, 2 dog ear, or none, depending on where you're racing. But yeah, you can see like at the end of the, like right here in the corner, you can see where it pokes out a little bit. The tires still spin free. I do like the fact that they made them like that wheel well thing red. I didn't Sharpie that. This didn't need any Sharpie-ing, but just the front and the back and the sides, like the way that the die-cast metal was made, it doesn't look right. I do like the fact that you can see a little bit of detail here with a door. I think they do in the Nationwide Series these days, so you can see the door here. I do like that, but the die-cast metal just looks all wrong on this car. 2 more to go, and I'll bring in this one. I bought this last year. It's the Back to the Future DeLorean. It was sold during the summer at Legoland, California. I'm really happy to have this. I was into Lego a while ago, and it just really makes me happy to have this in there. Let's see if I can do this on camera. There we go. I can convert it. Well, I'm not going to be able to put it all the way down, but I can turn from a road, like a car on the road. Whoops. I can put it into a flying mode, which I think is really cool. And also here, I've made it Back to the Future 1, more or less, because I didn't put Mr. Fusion on there. That's the nuclear reactor. But it's really fun when you have something like this. See if I can get that wheel back up. There we go. 88 miles per hour. Okay, and then the last one is this one. Is Jimmie Johnson's Nextel Cup car, and I did a little I did a little more Sharpie work on it right here. Made it silver wheels, and what this one's got it's heavier, it's bigger, it's got a good feel to it. But if I show you, that's supposed to say Bud Polo Award, but again, we're dealing with little kids here. They feel that that's inappropriate, so they did just a Polo Award. I Sharpied that black, and honestly, that on camera, that looks like it's actually how it was made. So I give myself a little credit for that. Yeah. I'm not sure. I see bubbles underneath the 48 on top. I'm guessing they might have accidentally did SpongeBob, but it's supposed to represent SeaWorld, probably San Diego or for Orlando. Can't remember. It's a Monte Carlo SS. Got Lowe's here. There's Shamu, and it's actually a full. Judging by how it looks, Shamu's here, but his tail is all the way back here. And also what I was saying is that Quaker Steak used to be the motor oil that they used, but now Hendrick Motorsports has changed it to Valvoline. This is a pretty heavy car. It's a little bit bigger. I had a Jeff Gordon car that was pretty big, but the front wheels fell apart. Here's the underside. You can tell that the metal, the die-cast metal on this was really good. That darker area, this car took a lot of beatings from my little cousin and I. We would roll them around and make them hit each other. So I had to get a blue Sharpie to fix that, along with some black Sharpie on that bottom run there. I also noticed that the wheels are a little differently placed. The front wheels seem to be a little lower than the back, but regardless, when I set it down, it's a nice push and go. And the wheel well is made of some durable plastic, but the tires themselves made out of rubber. So I think that's really great that they've done rubber wheels over plastic. Anyway, this is 51 Napa. My first toy review. I'm really happy that I was able to get this all done. I know it took a while, but hey, toy reviews do take a while. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!